In this video, I wanted to break down some of the spacing issues that Indiana has been experiencing offensively this season. Indiana has been underperforming their talent level so far this season offensively. If you look up and down the roster, they just have a lot of talented offensive players that should generate them around a top 30 offense in college basketball. But they just haven't been that so far this season. Their raw offensive rating, according to Sport Reference, is 147th in college basketball. Their KenPom offensive rating, which adjusts for who you play and projects about what your offensive rating would be like against an average team, puts them at 65th. Bartorvik adjusted offensive rating puts them at 76th, and Evan Maya's version of adjusted offensive rating puts them at 56th. And obviously, all four of these numbers point to underperformance. So in this first clip, IU is going to start in a 4-out-1 in. Ball swings to the wing, and Xavier Johnson is going to come off this UCLA screen right here. Trayce Jackson-Davis is going to get the ball in the swing, and Xavier Johnson is going to come off the zoom action, which is a pin down into a dribble handoff. But while that's happening, watch what's happening on the other side of the floor. It's going to be Trayce Thompson setting a pin down for Anthony Leal as kind of a misdirection. So right when Xavier Johnson comes off this handoff, look at how much separation this set creates. It's really well designed with misdirection on the weak side or on the strong side to try to alleviate some of the help defense that may be coming. And at this point, it should really be a 2-on-1 with Xavier Johnson and Trayce Jackson-Davis against the big man in drop coverage right here. But instead, Trayce Thompson's man, who's Tyler Wall, is just helping completely off him, standing in the paint. And instead of seeing a 2-on-1, Xavier Johnson is basically seeing a 2-on-2 on this point, which causes him to slow up a little bit, allows Chucky Hepburn to get back into play, but he still has half a step on Chucky Hepburn right here. It should still be a 2-on-1. But instead of cutting to the corner or just being a threat at all from three, Trayce Thompson is going to cut to the dunker spot, allowing his man to just stand right with 1 foot in the paint in perfect help position, which is basically just killing the action. So this next set again is going to start out in 4-out-1 in. It's going to be a pitch back, Xavier Johnson to Trayce Thompson back to Xavier Johnson, and then right here, Parker Stewart is going to set this little rub screen to try to get Trayce Jackson-Davis better post position. Allows the pass to come in. Chris Vogt is on him. He's trying to force him to his right hand. And generally, look at where Brad Davidson is standing. Normally what this would be able to do is allow Parker Stewart to just sit in the corner and open up a potential pass for a wide open three for your best shooter. But instead, Brad Davidson doesn't have to help all the way that far, because look at where Trayce Thompson is on this play. It allows for help easily on Trayce Jackson-Davis' dominant left hand, and it just kills the floor spacing. Trayce Jackson-Davis picks up the ball. Once you see Chucky Hepburn, helps off one pass away. Then Xavier Johnson, and then this flows into an empty side pick and roll. So the weak side right here would be that right corner, and that side is now empty, which means that the tag has to come from the strong side. But luckily, the strong side is about 2 steps away from being able to tag Trayce Jackson-Davis. So right here, normally the tag would have to come all the way from the corner. Over here could open up a passing angle, but instead this is a really, really tough play because the help from Tyler Wall just has to take 1 step over, and he's already in help. Brad Davidson sinks to Trayce Thompson. Maybe the pass was better from Xavier Johnson than Trayce Jackson-Davis could have gotten it to Trayce Thompson. But good hustle by Chris Vogt to get back into play, and it ends in nothing. So here, Indiana starts out in horns. What they're going to go to is a little weave action with Trayce Thompson cutting through to the side that will eventually be the strong side. So a couple of dribble handoffs, one more, and then Trayce Jackson-Davis comes up and sets this screen. And then again, look at the separation this creates. Xavier Johnson hesitates a little bit because of the big right here. But then look at where Tyler Wall is off the strong side. Normally in basketball, you don't ever help off that strong side corner because it's such an easy kick out to the shooter. If Trayce Thompson was a shooter right here, Tyler Wall would not be pulled over this far with 1 foot in the paint. But since Xavier Johnson is seeing 2 bodies, which are Chucky Hepburn and Tyler Wall, instead of just trying to finish against Chucky Hepburn, it just makes his finish way harder, and he gets blocked right out of bounds. So in this next set, Indiana starts out in a box sideline out of bounds. Xavier Johnson is going to come off this pin down in the middle of the floor, so like a zipper. And it's going to flow into this horn set. There's a little bit of confusion at the beginning. Trayce Jackson-Davis thinks he's supposed to set a screen. Apparently it's supposed to be a stagger for Parker Stewart in the weak side corner. So Parker Stewart comes off. Brad Davidson is trying to lock and trail. After this first screen set by Trayce Thompson, he gets a good amount of separation. And then Trayce Jackson-Davis sets another good screen to make contact. Brad Davidson at this point is out of play, and it's Parker Stewart coming downhill. So if you look at what Trayce Jackson-Davis is doing here, a lot of times when teams set this stagger for a player to come off, the first player will pop out, and then the second player will dive to the rim. And that would make sense with the personnel who's setting it. Trayce Jackson-Davis is the 5, setting that second screen. Him diving to the rim makes a lot of sense. But Trayce Thompson is at the dunker spot again, with Tyler Wall just standing under the rim, waiting for Parker Stewart. And if you look at the spacing here, it doesn't make a ton of sense. You have Trayce Jackson-Davis cutting to the rim, you have Trayce Thompson cutting to the rim, and you have Parker Stewart also going to the rim. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Tyler Wall is in perfect position to get this block. Indiana's spacing issue derives from playing Trayce Jackson-Davis and Trayce Thompson on the floor at the same time. The easiest way to fix this issue is just to stop playing Trayce Thompson at the 4 next to Trayce Jackson-Davis so much. Playing someone like Miller Kopp there would just open up the floor so much for Indiana and allow them to do so much more offensively. A lot of their actions are good actions. A lot of them are generating advantages, but the advantages are just killed by having another non-spacer on the floor besides the person who's operating in the screening, dribble handoff, or cutting, which Trayce Jackson-Davis is doing. Will Mike Woodson be willing to go with those looks? I doubt it. So Indiana's offense is going to be really interesting to monitor throughout the rest of the season, and we'll see how they look come March. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and as always, feedback is greatly appreciated.